The Bostonian is Matt Perrault.
This is our city.
The book is Dave Sherapan.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Together, they are the Bostonian versus the book.
You covered 12. I covered.
Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the book.
How do you like them apples?
Bringing you the best insight on sports betting news, Matt and Dave's daily picks, and an entertaining and unfiltered dive into the sports betting industry. Here's Dave Sherapan and Matt Perrault.
And here we go.
What's up, boys and girls? Welcome into a very fun and festive Bostonian versus the book. He is Dave Sherapan. I am Matt Perrault. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Twitter. And Will, I hope you're watching because you're going to be over on whatever number you might need me to put on here for Game 5 final. The 5-year drought is over, Dave. We'll talk to Keith Smith, NBA writer, here in about 5 minutes. He's been covering the Jalens, Jason and Jaylen Brown, since they came into the league. He's been one of the guys who I thought of immediately to go, when they won, get Keith Smith. Why? He was telling everybody, these two kids together can win the title, give them time. People were like, trade them, break them up. They can't do it. They did exactly that. They win banner 18. What's up? You ready for this show? Because it's been 5 years in the fucking making.
Oh, just get that one out of the way early, Will. Gonna need 2 sheets of paper today for the check marks in the log for the swears. I'm Dave Sherapan. I'm gonna sit here and watch Matt bloviate today. For all of you watching, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you don't like the show, tell us why in the chat. If you do, you can tell us why in the chat as well. We appreciate it. If you have any questions for Matt, put it in the chat because I'm probably not going to have much to say, at least for the first half hour, 40 minutes. And
it's homemade.
Yeah, he made the 7 and 8.
It's a homemade.
KC.
That's a homemade hat.
The budget's tight. We're still looking for sponsors. Okay, we can't go get the hat printed yet.
We'll do it. We'll get it. I mean, it's just not here yet. The second I'm going to ask Corbin, the second he gets it in, he's got to tell me so I can go get it.
Yeah, I know. We're already working on that. We worked on some hats. We're going to have a hat unveil in an hour.
Oh,
I went and saw the hat doctor, Corbin, and 617 will always be Boston Day. I guess so. It's the area code. We'll do that on Friday for Roll Call Friday. We got 2 guests today. Keith to talk about the Celtics. Joe Sheehan to talk about his baseball newsletter, the state of baseball. And I can't wait to ask him about this ABS system with the challenge system with the strike zone because it's going live. And I've seen it in baseball here. It's great. We'll get to all that. The floor is yours, sir. What do you want to say? Just get it out of the way, please.
Get what out of the way? You have done this show with me, dreading this day.
No,
because when we started from 1986 to 2001, not a single championship was won by the city of Boston.
I remember those days. It was
That's my childhood right there. Like that is basically, I turned 21 in 1998. So it basically is all my childhood, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
I remember.
Since 2001, the city of Boston has won 13 championships. And they've played for over 20. Like they could have more than that. They won them all. They would have more than 20. This is 4 major sports. This is the 4 major sports teams, by the way, for this.
13's enough. Yeah.
It is a moment, I think, for the city of Boston, for everyone who doubted, everyone who questioned what they saw in this team last night. I mean, it was similar to game 1. Porzingis didn't play effectively, didn't play much, but he did play. 106-88. Game was never really in doubt, Dave. It was pretty much after the first, I don't know, a feeling out period. But the second we got to that run at the end of the first quarter where Boston went on a 10-0 run, that was it. I mean, they just kind of put the pedal down and it was like, bye, see you later. And the game was never close.
It was, I think it was a 14-point lead after 1, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yep.
And it was a wrap. Ranieri and I stayed on and watched the game and talked about the total and how it went up and how it went down and then it went down and it went back up and then it stopped. And Listen, you want to watch the way basketball is meant to be played, watch that team play.
Agreed.
They got stars. They got, two guys, both MVPs, legit. But they play together. They play when one's sitting, the other one's the first one on the bench, cheering them on. Like, that's a team. That's a team basketball game. That was awesome.
Dave didn't like the ladder, but the ladder
The
hit.
latter term, the latter term is ridiculous, but at the same time, that was a dead-on balls accurate. I mean, 55.
I told you.
Have a meeting.
Made no sense. 67 it fell. Man, that 3 by Pritchard at the end of the first half was it. That's when I finally knew. When it went in, I finally knew. He went bam, and I went, okay, it's over. I was like,
I did the same thing actually on Sports Grid. I said, well, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
I said, we got to be on the air for the next however many hours, but the game's over. And Joe was like, what do you mean? I said, it's over. Did you see that? Just made a shot from half court. It's done.
How about Kevin? How'd you like being my brother? My brother who's 31 and my other brother who's 28. They've seen 13 championships. All they know is winning. They know nothing of the losing. All they've seen every 2 years, they have averaged a title basically every 2 seasons in their life. That's nuts. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Well, that's good because it's going to be a while before they see one for New England for the Patriots.
You are hoping so bad. You are hoping upon hoping that Drake May is bad. I don't know. I have no idea what Drake May is. We'll see what Drake May is. If Drake May is good, you're going to hate life. Like, if they got a good one.
They're going to win the Super Bowl with Drake.
Why not?
May.
What you can? Whoa! You can't say that right now.
This year?
No, not this year. But I mean, 2-3 years down the road.
I'm just talking this year. I'm going to revel in 5 and 12. It's going to be fun.
Oh, you can revel in all you want. That's fine. Boston has another chip. By the way, the Red Sox might make the playoffs.
That's going to be fun.
On top of you can hammer the Patriots all you want, but yes. I mean, I'm glad you liked the live cigar last night. We were. I was gonna light one today, and I said, "Yeah, we did it last night." So we'll leave that to a sports.
You got that cigar voice thing working too.
Oh, today? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I smoked a couple last night. It was fun. And yes, Steve, if you're watching, they were Mullen Lave cigars. Yes, he was very much asking. He was like, "Are those my cigars?" I was like, "Yes, they're your cigars." Yes, thank you very much. I did smoke your cigars on Sports Grid last night. Yes, so we did do that, which was a lot of fun to have that. All 5 games went under. Favorites went 3-1-1.
Mm-hmm.
But the unders had to have been great for the books, right?
Yes. The unders being every game and the number going lower and making people bet over more. I mean, it's perfect. Scenario's perfect. Yes. The side less yesterday, probably no good. And, you grade the futures.
Right.
A lot of things that were tied up. Ben Fox tweeted out a parlay, a championship parlay was $300. It paid $182,000. There it is right there. Look at that. UConn, Scotty Scheffler to win the Masters. It started with the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl and culminated with the Celtics to win the NBA title. 3-1, -110, 7-1, and 9-1. It's pretty good odds.
Chalky though, chalky, right? At the chalky parlay that results in a huge payout.
Pick 'em, and it took overtime. Otherwise, that ticket's dead. And he probably had a ticket on the Niners with those 3. I would guess.
Fair.
So,
Keith is here.
It's good.
Keith is here. So before we get to Keith, I just want to bring up one quick thing to get to the audience.
We have to talk about this.
What was your reaction to Jaylen Brown's being the MVP?
I thought he was the MVP. I was good with it.
Yeah,
you came on and made a very good case for Tatum to win it. And I thought, I'm good with it if he wins it too. Because he did. I mean, that was the game. Like, that was the
30 and 10.
Yeah, it was it was exactly what you summarized it perfectly. Everybody was waiting to see that in that time. So now but I feel like that Brown was the MVP significantly before that game. And I don't know if one game is fair to flip it. I was good with either guy winning it.
Right.
I was surprised to hear that only 11 people vote on this. The amount of money that was swinging, if the actual odds was were moving on different books, I'm fascinated that you leave that market up during the game and actually take bets, because there were probably people going, Tatum's going to win it. Tatum's going to win it. They're going to put Tatum in it. So,
Tatum led Boston in points, assists, rebounds per game, and he did win the MVP.
Well, you tweeted that yesterday. Like the fact that he led in all of those and didn't win it is such a rarity.
Yeah. So this is it. The fourth player in the last 50 years to lead the winning team in points, rebounds, and assists. He's the first player not to get the MVP in the finals. Put up 31, 8, and 11 in a closeout game. I don't understand how Jaylen Brown was more valuable in any way. 30, 10 in a closeout game. Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, James Worthy, and Walt Frazier. That's the list. And he didn't win the MVP.
Who's the other four? Who's the other four?
Michael Jordan, Steph Curry, Walt Frazier, and James Worthy.
Oh, okay. But did they all win it?
Yeah.
Wow.
30 and 10 closeout game MVP. Tatum didn't win it. Like, it just, I don't understand at all. 11 people, though. 11 people. Let's get to Keith, because Keith can shed some light on this for us here on the Bostonian versus Book. Keith Smith joining us here on BVB. Keith, Matt, and Dave, good to see you. Let's pick it up right there about the MVP. Obviously, Brown was tremendous and had an amazing postseason. But where were you on the MVP vote last night?
Yeah, it was fine either way. It didn't neither one would have shocked me if it was him or Tatum who won. I thought Brown kind of won it early, if that makes sense, when they went up early. And then I think it was going to take Tatum, was probably going to have to drop 40 or 50 or put up a big triple-double or something in the clincher to swing it. I think it was already mostly decided probably for a lot of people that it was going to be Brown. But I thought what Brown said when he took the trophy was great, where he's like, hey, I'm sharing this with JT. It's, he's my guy. We've been through all this together. And part of me says they should have had somebody go rogue and then split it 5-5 and just give them co-MVPs and be done with it. I know that probably would have caused a mess for what you all focus on. I don't even know how that would have worked. But I'm not surprised at all that it was Jaylen Brown, though.
That would have been a mess. Keith, I'm Dave. Nice to meet you.
Well.
This is great. Thank you for joining us. A split vote. Wow, we would have had to check the house rules. That would have been a disaster. You just gave me a brain cramp thinking about it. Also, wanted to ask you about this apparent path, and it was so easy, and guys along the way got hurt. This is one of the best teams in basketball in the last 10 years. I think so. I think fans think so. Where do you stand on, it just happened, but their legacy now with this postseason run?
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is people get a little further away from this. I think they'll realize just how dominant this team was. I think what happens in the course of the NBA season is whoever the best team is, we start finding reasons to pick them to not win, because that's more fun than just leaning into, well, they're the best team and they're going to win. I know myself, I was guilty of that with the Warriors when they were kind of at the peak of their dynasty, of instead of just saying, the Warriors are probably going to win the title, I was always looking for reasons they might not win. I think when you look at this with the Celtics, and almost every argument that comes up is, well, they had an easy path. Okay, but they went 64-18 in the regular season and drilled teams by over 11 points per game, historic margin. Well, they wouldn't have done that if they're in the Western Conference. Well, they went 23-7 against Western Conference teams and drilled most of them too. Then we get into the playoffs. It's an easy path. I'm not going to deny that they didn't play teams that were weakened due to injuries and the like. That was absolutely true. But they didn't have one of their best players. They did not have one of their starters in the group. Are they better built to work around that? Yes, absolutely they were, and that's part of the reason they won the championship. But it's you only play who's in front of you. You can't. This isn't. I like to say this is not college football where you line up Northwest, East State and destroy them by 40 in week 1 of the season. You only play who's put in front of you on the schedule, and then you go out there and you try to take care of them. And more often than not, they took care of things with relative ease there as well. So it's a lot of stuff with that. And I think when we're a couple weeks removed, I think people will be like, yeah, this team probably was a lot better than I gave them credit for in the moment.
Keith, I know you're with Front Office Sports and other places right now, but you covered this team for a long time. You covered when they had all the questions around Jalen and Jason and whether or not they were going to be able to win as a unit. A two-part question is, one, what does it mean that they won together going forward? And two, from a cap perspective, we're going to see a mega contract coming to Jason Tatum. We already have Brown under contract, but what does the Celtics outlook for the future look like from a contract standpoint?
Yeah, they're going to be wildly expensive. It's the easiest way to put it. Wick Grousbeck said the other day, hey, we're going to pay because we're going to get paid back in parades. That's the Celtics owner. And he's like, that's just how I need to look at it. And he very much committed to, without saying it direct because he doesn't want to get himself in trouble, but we're going to give Jason Tatum that big deal the minute we're able to. He'd said it during the regular season this year when they asked him, was there any doubt in giving Jaylen Brown the massive supermax contract? And he said there wasn't. And how he followed that up with, if you're the owner of the Boston Celtics and you don't do that, you can't own the Boston Celtics. You have to take care of your guys. And that's where I think you're going to see they've already extended Drew Holiday. I think they're clearly going to extend Tatum. I think they're going to extend Derek White. And it'll be, we'll let tomorrow's problems be tomorrow's problems with how expensive we are. But we're going to do what we can over the next couple of years to try to keep this group together and bleed as much out of this as we can with that. To the first part of your question, it means everything that Tatum and Brown did this together, because we like to harp on the national level. On the local level, it was almost as bad that people were hammering. We got to split these guys up. And then it even gets to the point of they don't like each other. And then people are like, they do like each other. Well, I don't care if they like each other. They can be friends off the court. I want to win championships and all those things. And that both Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens remained relatively patient with the two of them. Not saying Brown, more so than Tatum, didn't pop up in the occasional trade rumor, but they always held and said, hey, we're not just giving Jaylen Brown away. Like, if we can get a great player back, fine, we'll think about that. But they never got to that point, and now the two of them are tied together forever as champions in Boston.
Good as you mentioned the players. What about Joe Mazzulla? I mean, the guy was coaching just D2 a couple years ago down in West Virginia, and Frostburg State was on the schedule and all this other stuff. They ran him out of town last year after they were down 3-0. They were going to fire him and all this other thing. They came back and made it a series, and now he's NBA champion. Talk a little bit about Mazzulla, the job he did, and he ain't going nowhere anytime soon either.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, and he got the big extension midway through last season when he was the coach in the All-Star game, because they had moved up, or I forget, maybe it wasn't the All-Star game, but whatever it was, he had locked in the big contract. And what ultimately with Joe Mazzulla, what I think is works for him and this specific group of players is he's very even keel, and I have a belief in the way this group can play. And if we aren't making shots in a game, it might look bad. Maybe we won't make shots for an entire game, but I'm going to trust the math that when we put 5 players on the floor that can dribble, pass, and shoot, which there are 8 guys that they played most this season, they can all do that. We're going to beat teams. Eventually the math will work. And he never moved away from it. It's not that he doesn't make adjustments. That part gets so overblown, especially defensively. He's asked this team to do a lot of different stuff. You saw it throughout the playoffs. You saw it again in the finals. They ran a lot of different coverage schemes and a lot of different looks outside of what one thing he doesn't believe in. He's not going to straight double. He doesn't believe you ever double team that way, but he was absolutely, terrific, last year for most of the year. I think Eric Spoelstra pantsed him a little bit in the East Finals, but Eric Spoelstra's done that to a lot of people. Right. So that's not a necessarily a huge knock, and he came back better as a better coach. This is always the thing I say with coaches too. We expect players come in, they might need 2 years, 3 years to kind of figure it out. In case of Tatum and Brown, it might take 6 or 7 years to fully figure it out. Why are coaches supposed to be perfect day one, right? They're rookies too. They need to figure that stuff out as well. And I think it just took Joe Mazzulla a little bit of time to find his footing.
Keith, I know that you love looking back trade conversations and front office conversations. And I just want to go back to Danny Ainge's trade with the Nets, because he gave the Nets Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry, and DJ White. And he got the 2016 pick back that became Jaylen Brown and the 2017 pick that became Jason Tatum. I mean, in hindsight, is that the worst trade that we've seen in a long time in the history of the NBA, given what Boston took those aging superstar players, set them to the Nets where they were a disaster, and then turned it into a championship?
It's certainly up there as far as being one of those really impactful trades, because you had one team where I think it was Mike Zarin called this out after the win last night, was the Nets were actually pretty good that year initially. And then they had some injuries and the wheels came off. And he's like, then we benefited in ways we never thought we would. And then we saw them land in a spot with the Nets where it all broke up way earlier than anybody ever thought it would. So ultimately, you get that. I think what's also really interesting to look at those back-to-back years in the draft. The order after Boston in the Tatum draft traded out of number 1 down to number 3. The draft order both of those years was Philadelphia, Los Angeles, and Boston. In the Jaylen Brown draft, Philadelphia drafted Ben Simmons. The Lakers took Brandon Ingram. The Celtics took Jaylen Brown. The next year, if Philadelphia took Markelle Fultz after trading up to 1, Los Angeles took Lonzo Ball, and the Celtics took Jason Tatum. None of those other 4 guys are on those teams anymore. They didn't even finish out full rookie scale deals in the next contract with those teams. In addition, trading back, they got the 14th pick, which was the Kings pick. They picked Romeo Langford. A couple years in, they trade Romeo Langford as a big part of the salary matching to get Derek White. So there's not, I find it hard to believe that there's a trade that's worked out better for a franchise that involves so much.
That sounds like playing chess versus checkers. Is that where you would use that thing right there a little bit?
Yeah, I think they went from a chess grandmaster in Danny Ainge to a rising and probably already now has reached grandmaster status in Brad Stevens. You know, and they would both say it's the work of a lot of people in the organization that do a lot of the other stuff. But those 2 guys they do this better than just about anybody else does.
Who's going to challenge them? Because, the odds for next year have them below 3-1 to win it all. Like, that is ridiculous. And then, you look at this list and it's the West: Denver, Minnesota, Dallas. Milwaukee's the next closest competitor as far as the East, then OKC. I mean, the East is in a little bit of trouble. Like, we better start making reservations to go to Boston for at least the Eastern Conference Finals for the next 3 to 4 years?
Well, yeah, if you want to look at it that way, you've been going to Boston for the Eastern Conference Finals for about the last 8 years.
Thank you for the
outside of one year in there, they were there. But yeah, I think I'm not going to discount the Nuggets. They'll be back. I think Denver kind of ran into that championship hangover a little bit where it just was never quite the same. And one of the things you hear a lot of the coaches talk about is it's very hard to remotivate the guys the next year to go get it done. Like, that can be a hard thing because you have this sense of, well, we did it once, we'll get back. And then all of the little things you did sometimes don't necessarily come together that way. I think Denver now, we're going to call this maybe a little bit of a gap year or something. Mm-hmm. I think they are there now. So now I think what we're looking at is in the East, Milwaukee's biggest question is they're an older team. If they can avoid the injuries that they had this season, I think they'll be right in the mix. The talent is that good. I think their challenge is they've just had all these injuries. And then who knows what Philadelphia is going to be. As a roster CBA transaction nerd that I am, they are fascinating with Embiid and Maxey and really nothing else. Like, that is as blank a slate as you can get, but around 2 really good players. Then I'll throw one more at you. Oklahoma City, they're here now. They're no longer on the way up. They're here. They're really, really good. They have $35 million in cap space this summer. So we all get focused on Philly has $60 million to spend, but Philly has to build an entire roster around Embiid and Maxey. The Thunder have $35 million to spend, and they have literally like 1 rotation spot to fill out. So they can be very picky, very choosy at how they do that. And we all know if it's a trade, they can just overwhelm anybody with draft capital and go get almost whoever they want. So keep an eye on the Thunder.
Keith, 6 championships in 6 years, 6 different teams rather in 6 years. Parity has arrived in the NBA. The Warrior reign is over. We've seen this now consistently. Al Horford, according to ownership, is coming back. Do you believe it? Because going out on top is pretty darn good, and going back to back has proven to be quite difficult.
I do. He said it himself after the game. These guys do feels like 50 different interviews. So you're kind of piecing it all together. But each one, when he was asked, he said, I feel like I'm playing really well. I still enjoy playing. My family enjoys me playing. Why would I give it up now? He also has $9.5 million of reasons to not give up playing for next year, but not like he needs it, right? I'm sure he's doing just fine. But yeah, I do think he'll be back next year. Now beyond that, we'll see. I think that becomes all right, now I'm almost 40. What do I want to do? But I do think you're going to see, I think mostly you're going to see the Celtics for the most part run it back. There's not going to be big trades or anything like that. I think they're going to look to bring it back. They'll flush out the depth a little bit more because I think Porzingis is probably going to miss some time early. He said it's going to be a few month-long recovery. We're talking it's already the middle of June. By the time he has the surgery, you're talking probably right around start of training camp, and they'll be very cautious with him. So maybe they add another big. But, I think for the most part, you're going to see these guys come back pretty whole. They'll add another draft pick and just keep things moving.
Last one for me, sir. I know growing up, the Celtics were good, and the other team that was really good was the Lakers. And now it's 18-17 championships for the Boston Celtics over the Lakers. The Lakers are a mess. They were apparently wooing Bobby Hurley, but they were Danny Hurley, but they weren't. And then it was he's going to be the coach, and he's not. And there's legitimate talk that JJ Redick's going to be the coach. What are they doing? How long is LeBron going to play? Like, is this for real? What they can't even be considered a challenge to win the West, let alone compete with the Celtics at this point, right?
Yeah, as a kid who grew up on the Celtics-Lakers Bird Magic rivalry, it warms my heart that the Celtics are back on top and the Lakers are not very good, right? Like that's just, that's how that rivalry works. But it's a really tough situation. Now, I'm not going to go where some have gone and saying it's not a good job and all those things. I mean, it's the Los Angeles Lakers. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is one of the preeminent franchises in sports. But with that, there are expectations. And the expectations are not try to be pretty good, try to win the West. It's win a title. Like if you do not win a title, it was a failure, and that's the end of it. And I think their roster construction has been pretty rough since they won that title in 2020. They've got a lot more questions than they do have answers on the roster as far as who's going to be here. How good are some of the guys? They made a run, not just this season that just ended, but the one before. And I think that led to a couple guys maybe getting a little bit more than they probably should have. And that makes it a little bit tough. So they're going to have to figure it out. And I'm a little surprised. They seem like they are going back to the well with another first-time head coach. And not just the first-time head coach, but just a first-time coach, period. I think JJ Redick can do a really, really good job. And I think he will eventually be a pretty good coach. But learning on the fly in that situation with those expectations, that's going to be really, really tough.
All right, wrap this. Do we see a personality shift in Jason Tatum now that he has a ring? I mean, he started to talk like it a little bit during the finals when the media was like, you guys are going to make us do it again because you're going to say it wasn't real and the path was too simple. Does he become like not the heel, but does he change with a ring on his finger, knowing all the negative talk has been around him since he's come into the league?
What they going to say now? What they going to say now? That was great.
And then that commercial that ran immediately after the finals ended with the, don't stop disbelieving or whatever it was. Like that's, just incredible, stuff from him. And clearly he hears the noise, right? Yeah. So I think you're going to see him come back in a way where it's hard to know. Is it going to be, I want to really show these guys, or do I want to come back and am I a little more focused on let's just I gotta like we know what it takes now. Let's just try to play it out and figure it out. He's gonna have a busy summer. He's only got like a week or two, and then it's start a Team USA camp. Him and Drew Holiday. We'll see if Derek White joins that group or not. But right into Team USA, and then people aren't talking enough about this for me as they start looking forward. The Celtics open training camp earlier than any other team except for the Nuggets, because those two teams are going to Dubai next year. So they open a training camp almost a week earlier than anybody else does. So these guys are going to get almost no time off by the time the Olympics end. So I'm not going to be surprised at all if there's a slow start for Boston out of the gate next year with Tatum and Holiday having played all summer. Porzingis coming off of surgery. It might be a little bumpy as they go, but that's not an excuse. Obviously, we don't know what it'll look like. But yeah, I think Jason Tatum has embraced this right now of this is where we're at. And I think he's a little bit right in that, that's what we go to is, all right, you did it once. Now show me again. I mean, we're not even 12 hours old in the morning when I woke up and it was like, well, what happens next year? Does this championship count as much if they don't repeat? And it's all the same conversations that were had about the Nuggets a year ago and the Bucks the year before that. It's this idea that you have to repeat for your title to count. I don't know. All I know is opening night, they're going to hang a banner. Everybody's going to get a bunch of jewelry, and the fans are going to absolutely enjoy loving that team all over again after not seeing them for a few months.
Keith, thank you for the time. This was a lot of fun. We'll do it again soon. All right. Appreciate you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
At Keith Smith, NBA, go give him a follow. Go watch his stuff and what he does with Front Office Sports. Great stuff with Keith Smith here on the Bostonian versus the Book. Sorry, let me do that and then do that and get us off here. Good stuff there with him. We'll have Joe Sheehan here in just a couple of minutes, and we'll switch to baseball. We can put a kind of finishing touch on a couple of things with the Celtics last night. I thought Yahoo Sports put up a really cool thing here, celebrating the Celtics championship as to where they are. And I think that picture of Jason Tatum is why I asked the question. I'm really wondering whether Tatum does have that personality shift. Does he get angry?
He have to? Can't he just beat Jason Tatum?
He can, but I think he actually wants to. I think Tatum, now that he's got the title, now that he's got the ring, not that to say he didn't have a confidence about him before, but I think he now has the ultimate trump card to say, what are you going to say now? Like you said, like that was from the heart. I didn't like, he tried to recreate anything's possible. I didn't like it. I'll admit it. It was a cringy moment. Didn't like it. I was like, dude, like you don't need to try to recreate that moment just because you want that moment to live on the same way it lived on for Garnett. But it was too copycat, too similar. Didn't like it.
The moment was what you're going to say now.
Yes, that was the moment. That's
the moment.
But he said, we did it. Like he did it.
Yeah.
I was like, tamp that down. Not a fan of that. But I am really curious to see how Boston decides, okay, you guys are questioning us still? Like you're still going to bring up what if? You're still going to say?
Not.
No.
That's the problem.
But I hope that they
never going to not question.
But that energy, that energy is so incredible. Like there's so many interesting parallels between Kobe Bryant is Tatum's idol. Looked up with him, talked to him, mentored by him, just had a ton of respect. And people in LA were like, why are you mentoring Tatum? Like, he's a Celtic. And Celtics fans would be like, why are you talking to Kobe? He's a Laker. And the two guys couldn't have cared less about that. They wanted each other to be tight. He wore, outfits pregame that Kobe wore. And like that Mamba mentality, I just wonder if Jason Tatum now feels like I can embody that now that I have a ring on my finger.
It's nice knowing he got Jaylen Brown with him. Because Jaylen is taking a lot of whatever he don't want to do.
He don't care.
Did.
Yeah, that boy don't care. He's just like, get out of here, all of you. I love his attitude is so infectious. It's such a nice,
amazing.
It's just a nice. It's let him be the leader. I think Tatum is completely comfortable allowing Jaylen Brown to be the vocal leader of the team.
Yeah, and it's fine. Like everybody knew that Jordan was the leader of the team, but he had Pippen, and like. I don't know if you need to be that. Shaq and Kobe. There were times it was Shaq, and Kobe did what he did, and I think it can. It just has to exist.
But those two examples, they play different positions. These guys play the same position.
It's unique. It's very, very unique. And I think rather than worry about what are they doing next year, let's celebrate what they're doing because you don't see this. Like you just don't see it. I took great joy, and I'd like to give you crap about it being Boston, but I love watching sports played the way they're supposed to be played. And those guys played a sport the way they're supposed to be played. And they filled it in with teammates, and seeing them be excited for, White when he's making shots or when he gets his face smashed against the floor and knocks his teeth out like a hockey player, goes to the side, puts a towel on it. They're like, dude, your tooth is gone. He's like, all right, I'm not bleeding. I'm going back out there. We're winning a championship.
His line was great. I'd lose all my teeth for a championship.
That's what I mean, that's a hockey guy saying that. They do it all the time. That was great. And
didn't matter. I really hope Al comes back. I want him back. Look, winning back-to-back championships is good. This team will win multiple. They're not done. It's not a one and done. I just don't know if they win back-to-back. Like, it's such a difficult thing as what Keith just laid out. That schedule that they're going to have, they're not going to rest. They're going to play basketball constantly until next June.
We need the games at the bye.
We don't. I'm furious. I didn't know about that. I heard about that. I heard that they made mention of it on the broadcast last night. I was like, what do you mean Dubai? And I didn't realize they were starting this season against the Nuggets, the team they may play in the finals next year in Dubai. Like, at least they're both going there together. There won't be the excuse. They're both there.
I just don't understand it. There has to be a reason behind it. And I feel like, they're trying to grow the game.
Why?
I get it. But it's a lot to ask the players.
Why did Major League Baseball go to London? It's the
same, in an Olympic year.
The same reason.
Well, for the baseball, they gave them 2 days off before.
Right.
They complained they were there too long, and then they gave them a day off after the trip. They only played 2 games and came back, and they jumped right back into the schedule. Phillies, had a rough week after. It's fine, but look at that. Who's challenging that team?
Right now,
Who is
nobody.
it?
Right now, nobody. By the odds, nobody. But they're all Western Conference teams till you get to the Bucks, and then the Sixers are 16-1 and 10-1.
You Knicks fans can all relax. You got
16-1.
You got a lot of work to do.
They're 16-1.
Yeah, a lot of work.
30-1. Cavs 35-1. Pacers.
Type it in the chat.
50-1. See ya.
Give me the team in the East that you see those odds that you think can just get to the finals, not actually win it. Just who's going to the finals.
Well, it's impossible with Philly because we don't know what they're going to be.
It's impossible with everyone else. If I pick Indiana.
If Philly gets Jimmy Butler, okay, if that can be swung.
Like, that's going to happen. There's talk of the Heat going back.
Yeah, there's talk that Butler may make a move.
Legit talk or bullshit talk?
No, I think it's real. I think they're going to try to get a guy like that.
Wow.
And he may be interested in changing and going back. So you put him with Tobias and you put him with Embiid and you get Jimmy Butler, a guy who can beat Boston.
He's in Tobias is going to be there. Maxey.
Okay, sorry, Maxey. I mean, so you have Maxey. So then you've got, I think Paul George or Jimmy Butler. I agree. Both of those guys are possible trade targets. So Maxey, Jimmy Butler, and Embiid's a hell of a 1-2-3. And we know what Boston feels like with Jimmy Butler. We know what the Celtics roster feels about Jimmy Butler. He's a killer. I mean, he's an absolute killer. So I can't say the Sixers are completely a team that can't do it because I don't know what they are. Right now, they can't do it. No way.
Vic Ferrari just said in the chat, Cleveland when Bronny and LeBron get there. Would you stop, Vic?
Yeah, I think the Lakers are going to. I think the Lakers are just going to sign Bronny James to a free agent deal. He's not getting drafted. Just bring him in.
In the hell is going on?
And why? And you want to go coach that? Enjoy that. So, we'll put some finishing touches on the Celtics championship during my favorite thing about today later on in the program. But let's switch gears here and let's talk some baseball. The guy, the man, the myth, Mr. Joe Sheehan, joining us here on Bostonian versus the Book, Major League Baseball, coming in here. Joe, Matt, and Dave, good to see you again. Thanks for coming back.
Hey, I know you guys like to wear a lot of gear on the show. So, Matt, I got something for you here, buddy. Saving it for you. Here we go.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Here we go.
Oh, God. 9, Joe. 9. I think we just stole the 10th base. Just turn around.
I stole the 10th base.
We just stole 10.
Joe, you can't run anymore. Be careful. That Yankee gear looks great. Thank you, Joe, for coming on the show. Number
I
one
put it on
question.
for Matt, but I got to tell you, it's 8,000 degrees here, so I'm going to take it off.
Take it off.
Go
Take
ahead.
it off.
And I'm
Take
putting
it off.
that on then.
Yeah.
Let's
right,
go.
But I got to ask you, All right. First and foremost, great job with the newsletter, and we'll let you plug that here at the end because we got to get more people reading about baseball because it's now officially for people that were watching basketball. Pay attention to baseball because it's been really good. The stolen base. They had 9 of them in a game on Sunday, Joe. What the hell is going on with the stolen base? We'll get to the strike zone here in a second. This is kind of coming. Are we coming back to the way it was, like with Ricky and Lou Brock and all these other things, or was that just like an anomaly?
I mean, it's the rules. The rules have made it easier to steal bases. At the same time, we've basically selected catchers for framing and very little else. Jose Trevino has actually turned out to be a decent hitter, had a home run in that same game. So, it was only 5 net bases that he gave up for Sunday night in Boston. But it's the new rules mostly, guys. It's just much easier to steal now. Pitchers they can only throw to a base twice before the third one has to either pick off the runner or become a balk. That's the main rule. But the clock has a big element to it too, because runners know there's a big clock that says when the pitcher has to do something. You don't see those battles where guys step off or they vary their time to the plate or to the base. You literally can't do that anymore. Hitters have until there's 8 seconds on the clock to step into the box to be square to the pitcher. So runners no longer have to really play that guessing game. So this is what baseball wanted. They wanted more raw stolen bases, but you can't compare what, say, the Red Sox did the other night to, say, Henderson or Brock or Raines or Willie Wilson or the other guys who grew up watching in the 1980s. They had a different task in a different game.
Can I ask you about the Cy Young? Because the odds are really interesting in both the American and National League Cy Young, because in the American League, Schoolball's on a bad team. Burns is on a good team. Hawk is on a somewhat okay average team. There's a lot of guys in the American League who are pitching well, who are on bad teams. It's different in the National League where we have the starters. I mean, Suarez and Glasnow, and you got guys who are on good teams who are there. Does it matter from a Cy Young perspective if Schoolball has a great year and the Tigers stink?
Not anymore. In any given year, there's a different pool of voters. They pull 30 guys from the BBWAA, which is fairly, I shouldn't say guys are men and women from the BBWAA. So you get a different pool each year. But by and large, we've moved away from using wins as a measure of how good a pitcher is. We're looking at strikeouts. We're looking at ERA. We're even looking at advanced numbers like FIP and WAR. So Tariq Skubal, if he's the best pitcher in the league and goes 12-9 or whatever he might go, is going to probably win the Cy Young Award. One thing I note looking at that list, Matt, 4 of the top guys in the AL have not really pitched a full season before. You look at Skubal, you look at Huck, you look at Reagans, and I forget what the fourth name was. But on that list, Luis Gil, only Luis Castillo and Corbin Burns have actually gone full seasons before. So if you're looking at this list, I look at 4 of those guys and see pitchers who are probably going to be, if not shut down, at least slowed down by their teams as we head into the latter half of the season. Now, the record for lowest innings to win a Cy Young Award, I believe, is Jacob deGrom, 165. It was either Burns or deGrom had the low number, but nobody's ever been under 160 as a starter and won a Cy Young Award in a completed season. So those 4 guys who haven't gone that deep into a season before, I think you knock them off. Corbin Burns seems to me like the clear favorite at this point because I know he's going to get 30 starts.
What about the MVP? Mookie gets hit in the hand. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. And Shohei's sitting right there. Next guy down in the market now becomes the favorite. Where do you stand on a DH who's not pitching this year, but was a pitcher, winning the MVP award?
I mean, if he's the most valuable player, we can measure that. I mean, we can adjust for the fact that he's not playing any innings in the field. Now, typically, a DH hasn't won the award. Don Baylor won in 1979. He played a fair amount of time in the outfield. You look at the best seasons by any DH, guys like Edgar Martinez, Frank Thomas, David Ortiz, they tended to peak around 6 to 7 WAR. I believe Edgar's got the biggest one at 7 WAR. Now, Shohei's probably going to get to that level. And if it's one of those years where nobody else has a 6-win season, Trey Turner was in that mix, but he got hurt. He missed about a month with the hamstring. You mentioned Betts, Ronald Acuna Jr. out for the season. So a lot of guys we would have looked in that market at the start of the year are just not going to play. I would look maybe at a Bryce Harper's going to be in that mix. Guys could come from behind now. You look, Ellie De La Cruz has been up and down. But you talk about somebody who has raw skills and could end up hitting 260 with 30 homers, with 70 steals, with enough on base to be valuable, playing every day at shortstop. He's somebody who can pick up the war to do it. It could end up being a narrative thing too, Dave. The Phillies are a great story this year, probably going to end up with the best record in the National League.
Yep.
Do you look at a Bryce Harper and say, Bryce Harper wasn't the best player in the league this year, but maybe he's the best player on the best team, and that's often a backdoor to the MVP award.
Joe, we got a guy in our audience that does an incredible job tracking things for us, and he's been tracking the White Sox up against the 2003 Tigers, the worst team in American League history with 119 losses. The White Sox have 19 wins and 54 losses. They are right on pace as to where the Tigers were at this point in the season before they got to 119 losses. Is that record in jeopardy in your mind for the White Sox?
It is, because the White Sox could even get worse as the season goes on here. They're in the middle of a rebuild. Remember, they've gotten good work out of Eric Fetty, out of Garrett Crochet. They signed Tommy Pham. He's played well for them. And they don't have a lot of contributors to come up. You think about a rebuilding team, might bring up a lot of young players later in the season. They just called up Drew Thorpe, who's not really ready. He's got knocked around. Colson Montgomery's their big shortstop prospect, a top 15 prospect in the game. Hasn't really hit well enough in AAA to push himself up to the majors. So if the White Sox start tearing this down even further, maybe if they trade Luis Robert, the center fielder, Luis Robert Jr., I should say, Robert Jr., the center fielder. They traded Eloy Jimenez now that he's back healthy. This team could be even worse down the stretch and go 10-40 in the last 2 months. I've been tracking it closer to the 120. I'm thinking of the 62 Mets with 120 losses. So I think they've got actually a chance.
That's the record.
Exactly.
You think they could lose that many games, Joe?
They've got a chance at it. Not even if they don't trade Garrett Crochet, the odds are, we talk about all these pitchers that haven't pitched full seasons before. This is the first year he's been a starter in the major leagues between being used as a reliever and being injured. So, I'm telling you guys, we might be the back three for the White Sox in August and September. Sheehan, Sharapan, Perot. 3, 4, 5 starting. We're going to go into Kansas City and we're going to start some August weekend.
It's hot. I don't know how many innings I can go. Oh my gosh. I got to start doing more road work. The newsletter was outstanding. The most recent one. I just read it this morning. And the strike zone talk. You talk about the most important piece of real estate on a baseball field. You called it. It was excellent in the way it was broken down. I've been coaching the kids in softball, and framing is an art. And you actually have catching instructors teaching kids how to frame it. We go to the Aviators games. I wore the Aviators stuff. I've sat with you at the Aviators game here in Vegas. This challenge system is the right way. Is it not? They tap their helmet. The hitter knows the pitch was outside. The ump called it a strike. Why is it working in AAA? And finally, I just saw the thing right before we started the show. They're going to actually do this in the bigs next year?
Because they're still experimenting with it. Manfred said earlier this year he didn't think we'd have either system in place until at least 2026. They're still working on height, basically. The vertical reading of the strike zone is still a challenge. It also doesn't always work on 100% of pitches. So there are the people who follow this, people who follow minor league baseball will tell you it's not ready. And my argument is just that those guys don't understand how bad major league umpiring is. Yeah, that's what I do. 7.
Well, how bad is it? How bad is major league umpiring? Because people are bitching and complaining nonstop on the Twitter. There's gambling being talked about. They just had, and my last question will be about the guy that got busted, if you know anything about that. But Major League Baseball, you said this is the worst era for umpiring. Why is the state so bad of it?
Well, we can see it, measure it in a way that we couldn't before. I mean, HD TV and 64-inch screens and StatCast at every game. So when I see a pitch called, at Jesus Sanchez's ankles last night, I can go online and say, yeah, that pitch was really low and it shouldn't have been called a strike. Every single day, every single game, you see high leverage pitches. There was a pitch in the Tigers-Braves game last night. Cole Keith got called out on a pitch that nearly hit him in the hands. Just not even anywhere near the strike zone gets called a strike. Umpires are flipping walks to strikeouts. They're flipping 2-1 counts to 1-2. And by and large, their global bias is against hitters. They're calling all of these pitches on the way off the outside corner strikes. So it's taking offense out of the game. It's teaching pitchers that I don't have to throw strikes. It's slowing down the game. It's taking contact out of the game. So even if we just go past the whole getting the call right, and as I said today, Dave, you read it, the automated system calls pitches. Umpires are calling catches. Umpires are calling the pitch based on what the catcher does. So for no other reason than that, just to put the batter and the pitcher on the same scale, I think an automated system is more fair. A hitter up there, seeing the pitch go by, seeing it 2 inches off the plate, and then getting screwed over by an umpire who said, well, he hit the glove. That's not the rule. The rule isn't you hit the glove. The rule is that there's a
I hate that explanation. I hate that explanation.
I hate the human element. If I hear the word human element anymore, I'm going to lose my mind. The players are human too. I don't want the middle managers having that much control over the game. You saw Eric Miller against the Cubs last night. Got behind Cody Bellinger 2-0 through 2 pitches that were strikes. I mean, not even that close. Just slider changeup. Should have been 2-2. Instead, he walked Bellinger. Bellinger came home 2 batters later. Umpires are screwing up what the players are doing. I want the game decided by what the players are doing, not by what the umpires are doing. And I think an ABS system, a full ABS system, gets us to that. You mentioned the challenge system. I've seen it too. It works in the minor leagues. I'm sorry, nobody cares about the outcomes of these games. Nobody's following the International League playoff race. People are out there to have a good time, like gamifying the call. They put it up on the screen. It's an additional element of fun on a night at a minor league ballpark. It works there. In the major leagues, if you have the ability to get the call right and you don't because you want to do it this gimmicky way, that's a mistake. You have the ability to get the calls right. Get the calls right. Don't make the players officiate the game. Have an umpire do it, have a system do it. But if you're going to have a system do it, have a system do it all the time. And again, I think it would make the game better because it would get pitchers out of the habit of aiming 2 inches off the outside corner and just going out there all the time. And eventually the umpire gets bored and calls it a strike. I think if you make the pitchers throw the ball over the plate, we're going to have a more entertaining brand of baseball.
Let's dovetail off of that because I'm making you talk about the Red Sox because it's the Red Sox, but the Red Sox pitching staff is performing way better than anyone thought. I mean, they have thrown way more off-speed pitches. They're not throwing fastballs. Are they benefiting from this? I mean, they're 38-35. They're in the running for the 3rd wild card spot. I thought that they could, but people are talking about them. Ken Rosenthal this morning talked about them being buyers, not sellers at the trade deadline. They may go get help to try to make the postseason. Is the staff for Boston, other teams like that, benefiting from the umpires in a big strike zone?
Matt, I don't have the data in front of me to tell you whether teams specifically which teams are getting more of a benefit than other. I think if you had all the data, you could look and say these pitchers are getting more strikes called, these pitchers aren't. I apologize, I don't have that for you. So I can tell you that the Red Sox are out front on this idea of just throwing your best stuff. And if that means never throwing your 4-seam fastball, go ahead and do it. That's one of the big changes in baseball, really accelerated the last few years. We used to think about country hardball, right? You get up there, you throw it. Think about the baseball we grew up playing. Everything was off the fastball. Now everything is off. You see guys pitching backwards all the time. It's not even backwards anymore. It's just guys start out with the breaking ball. There are no hitters counts anymore. 2-0, 3-1, slider, splitter, change. Hitters used to be able to say, okay, I'm up 3-1. I'm going to get the fastball now. And most of the time now they don't. So that's what the Red Sox are doing. They're saying, we're going to throw you our best pitches. And most of the time that's not going to be a 4-seamer. And this is one of the big contributors to the lower offense this year. Because if you break it down, and you can do this with the tools at Baseball Savant, great website. What you find is that most of the offense in baseball actually comes off the fastball. Guys hit fastballs reasonably well, and they hit breaking stuff and off-speed stuff all below average. So every pitch that would have been a fastball that is now a breaking ball takes offense out of the league.
Joe, last one for me. Well, I'll ask you a quick follow-up when we tie it up, but last interview question. Does baseball have a gambling problem? Now that we have it so intertwined with things, we got the Shohei and Ippei and all that other stuff, and then Tucapita, Mercado with the Pirates and the Padres and all that. And now last week it comes up, they're investigating the best umpire, legitimately the best guy for a gambling violation. I mean, you're there in the NYC, we're out in Vegas. Does it have a gambling problem?
The easy answer is no, because baseball itself doesn't have a gambling problem. I will say that as somebody who, we talked about this off the in person, Dave. I grew up with gambling here in the city. I was 9 years old filling out the tickets, the football tickets. When PASPA was overturned in 2018, I thought that would be a net good for everybody, moving it out of the shadows and off the offshores and making it legal. What I didn't expect was the way in which baseball, its media partners, and the teams itself would turn their products into a vehicle for gambling. You watch any pregame now, and there's a segment. You watch MLB Network Quick Pitch, and instead of the highlights, they're giving you the same game parlay. There's nothing wrong with making these bets. I do wish MLB and the teams had maybe backed off a little bit. Instead of scooping up every nickel off the ground, had said, hey, look, we spent 100 years saying don't bet on baseball. And to just now say, oh, now everybody bet on baseball, go, it's the greatest thing ever. I think you're alienating a lot of traditional fans. And I say that as somebody who was in favor of legalized gambling and who enjoys making a bet on baseball. I'm not saying that. But it's alienating people, and it's giving the people who don't want gambling in baseball, people of good faith, an opportunity to say, see, this is what's going to happen. Personally, I don't think the players getting caught gambling is a product of, how can I put this? It's basically a product of the leagues being partners with the books, right? The reason we found out about this because they were betting with the league, basically. Hey, guys, don't do that. David Fletcher, an infielder for the Braves, has been caught up in the Ipe Muzahara. Apparently, he knows the same guy, so there's some question as to whether he's going to make it back to the major leagues. These investigations take a while. I think you can't what's the phrase? Unring the bell. You can't unring the bell here.
Can't.
But I personally think MLB has jumped into this way too fast. Grabbing
Joe, there's a sports book in Wrigley Field. We were just there last month. It's incredible.
That's where you lose me, and that's where I think MLB and if MLB ever gets a commissioner again, maybe there'll be somebody in position to say, "Hey guys, let's knock it off. Let's take a breath. Let's figure out how to do this in a way that doesn't just make our sport entirely about gambling." During the World Series last year, you had Joe Davis reading off live odds. There's no place for that. I don't want that in the World Series, man. Incredibly awkward. So does baseball have a gambling problem? I'll say no, but I really do wish, and this is where the hard part is, guys. I don't know how to back away from this. Like in 2018, to say go into this slowly is one thing. It's 2024. All the contracts are signed. Like, I don't know how you unring this, and I think that's a problem baseball has.
Absolutely. Joe, thank you for joining us. My last one, Dave wants to wrap with you. He'll have one more question on the way out, but I always look for teams. I mean, the Red Sox might be live. They might not be, but I always look for a team I can jump onto. And this year for me, it's been the Royals. Pirates. Looking at Lugo and looking at Reagan. Sorry, can't be the Pirates. Skeens is fun and all, but Keens, you guys can't hit save your life. I like Bobby Witt Jr. a lot. What is the outlook for them at the deadline? And what's your outlook for them if they do make the playoffs? Can the Royals make some noise?
We talked about pitchers who I'm concerned about how many innings they have left in them. Cole Reagans is at the top of that list. His career high, majors and minors, about 120. So I don't know if he's going to get through the full season. And the Royals don't really have the pitching depth to back that up. Even if you project Lugo to a full season, they're going to walk it back at some point. They're relying on guys like Daniel Lynch and Alec Marsh. They're going to get Chris Bubic back. Real questions about that rotation. And the bullpen is one of the worst in the game. So they've been fortunate on the hitting side. If you look at their leverage numbers and their runners in scoring position numbers, they've been out of their minds. So you expect that to regress as well. In fact, Matt, I would tell you, get off that train right now and start going against them. I think of the teams that are in contention, they're the one most likely to go like 30 and 35 and 55 the rest of the way.
Joe, I just want to give you an opportunity to promote the newsletter and tell everybody where they could find you, because you've become kind of a ghost on the Twitter. I used to enjoy these random posts that you did, so I'm just putting that out there. But yeah, tell people where to find the newsletter, and we're going to do this a little more often now that I know your window of opportunity, and you're going to shave every Tuesday. We'll do some baseball talk on Tuesdays. Thank you, sir. Where do they get the newsletter?
Yeah, I'm off Twitter, but also my blood pressure is down and my skin's cleared up. So just a coincidence, maybe. I don't know. But you go to joesheehan.com. I've been writing the Joe Sheehan baseball newsletter for 14 years now, since I left Prospectus in 2009. And I love writing about the game. I've got thousands of subscribers. I got smart guys like Dave and Matt reading me and promoting it. If you love the game, it's definitely, I'm a stat head. But, I write about off-field issues like the automated ball and strike system. I go to games, write about what I see there. I love writing the game. I love the game. I love writing about it. I'm lucky to get to do it. So joesheehan.com. There's a link at the top. If you want to buy, there's all kinds of information there about subscribing. You can also get a free version of the newsletter. Once a week, I'll send you a freebie. I don't need your credit card, your mother's maiden name, anything like that. Click the link, send me an email, get free newsletters once a week, and then you can decide if you want to buy it. So good to be here with you guys. Always good to talk to you. And Dave, hopefully I'll see you sometime in the summer out in the desert.
Absolutely.
Sounds great. Joe, thank you for the time. Really appreciate it. We'll do it again soon, all right?
Thanks, fellas. Take care.
Joe Sheehan, joesheehan.com. Go check out his newsletter. Great stuff if you're a baseball nut like we are. Love reading about baseball and people covering baseball. Good stuff with him here on BVB. Do you want the automation for umpires?
I think the way it's done at the Aviators games, we go to the games and I sit there with the kids and a pitch is outside. We're sitting in the good seats. Johnny Parlay working there. We sit in his section. He's down right behind home plate. I can see from where I'm at that that's a ball.
Mm-hmm.
The batter knows it's a ball. The guy calls it a strike. He goes like this, taps his helmet.
Mm-hmm.
That's a challenge. They look at it. It takes 5 to 10 seconds. They go, ball. It's a ball. The call is right. It doesn't hold up the game. It makes the umps accountable. There's somebody to go to immediately. You still need somebody out there.
Yeah, it's like
just
tennis.
have the thing that like the tennis has. Beep, beep.
But it's similar that you have a human being and then you're using a computer. It's not like you're going to remove the umpire from behind the plate.
I don't think so. The way it's done there.
Some people want this done just with electronics. Nothing. There's no ump there.
I don't know if I mean I have to see it in practice to know whether that's better. But I like what I've seen with the AAA stuff, and I think it can be done. Hitter's eyes, I trust the hitter way more. The catchers are artists. Like what they do with the glove and how they catch a low pitch, and then how they catch a high pitch. You catch it in the heel so you don't move your glove. And I've seen it done. The little things, they're tricking umpires. Well, that's taking away the actual spirit of the game.
I don't know. I'm a catcher. I love it. I think framing of pitches is part of the art. I think it's part of the game. I think it's part of what's always made baseball baseball. Trick the umpire is part of the game. I love that.
See, I'm a pitcher, and believe me, I would love to get the calls, but at the same time, I feel for the batters. It is a skill.
I don't feel for the batters at all.
Framing a skill. It 100% is.
I don't feel. This is my argument. This is my pushback with even to Joe. The game of baseball was built upon the human error. He doesn't like it, but he hates the word human error. But human error is what made this game. And to take that out of the game, I don't like it. I've said before, I want replay at home base for everything. I want replays down the line for when the ball is 500 feet up in the air. Get that call right. That's hard. Home run, no home run. Have replay for that. Get that call right. I'm there. But balls and strikes has been called by human beings since the beginning of the game. And if we're going to take it away from umpires simply to get the call right, I mean, that's impossible to me because there's going to be mistakes made by the by the robo ump too, just because it's technology. Our phones don't always work. It's not 100%. What are we striving for? Like what is the acceptable percentage of a correct strike call? Because I'm okay with it being 75, 80%.
I don't know. You want to put a chip in the ball in a football?
Yeah, but that's because there's 800-pound men slamming into each other and we're trying to figure out an inch. Like, that's really difficult to do.
So a guy's throwing 100 miles an hour and we're trying to figure out an inch. We're using technology to do it. Why can one work for the other and not for that
guys
one?
have been throwing 100 for 50 years. We're not throwing 150. We're throwing 100.
Football first downs by a chain and guys human element forever.
Right, but it's been done on an estimated thing. Again, I'm okay with technology in baseball. I'm not saying
outside corner's been estimated for 100 years. That doesn't make it okay.
Yes, it does. To me, it does. I'm okay with that.
So why
a touchdown is a touchdown?
First downs in football
because a touchdown is a touchdown. There's no definitive. Did a guy touch home plate or not? I want replay for that. I want replay for did the ball go over the fence? Did it go hit the in between? So it looked like it went a home run and it wasn't. It was a ball inside the foul pole or outside the foul pole. I want that reviewed. I want technology in sports. I'm not saying get it out. I'm just saying we've always had this where a human being is the one that gets to. That's like saying I want an umpire, a robo umpire, to call holding. I don't want a robot umpire to call holding.
No, please.
Okay, I don't want that.
God.
But that's the equivalent. You're telling me that we're going to AI scan the line.
A judgment call.
And that's what balls and strikes is. Balls and strikes is a judgment call.
There's a home plate to measure it. There's no measurement for holding.
Yeah, sure there is.
Did he hold him too long? Did he open his hand? Did he close his hand?
Of course there's interpretation. Yes, of course. Inside, outside the pads, up front. Did he pull him down?
Please.
Did he pull him around? Those are all there. Those are all interpretive things for holding. And just like balls and strikes, is it a full ball outside? Is it above? Is it at the chest plate? Is it above? Is it below the knee or at the knee? Like these are all interpretive things that I'm okay with. And I just
want to get the call right.
To who? Who is the call right for? For the pitcher, I would say that call is right. It is right for me because if you give me a wider strike zone, that's better for me.
Where's my listening glasses?
I'm just saying.
Sorry, Will. What the fuck are you talking about? A strike is a strike over home plate.
No, it's interpretive. It's always been interpretive. High, low. Human beings have had their own
600 shows we've done together. And you're telling me a strike is interpretive?
It is. It's an interpretation based upon what the guy sees and what he thinks is important. Some people have high strike zones. Some people have low strike zones. Some umpires give you the outside corner. Some have an extended outside corner. Some guys will give you the inside strike. Some guys won't. I like that about baseball. I like that you have to handicap umpires. I like that it's difficult to do that. I don't want bang bang plays at second base to be interpretive. I don't want bang bang plays at first base to be interpretive. And I really don't want it at home plate to be interpretive. But balls and strikes is part of the game that's always been an estimation. It's always been a Fugazi amount. What is up? What is down? What is left? What is right? There's no actual thing. That little box on your TV screen doesn't exist in real life. It tricks the audience. The audience says, oh, look at that strike. That doesn't exist in real life. Like that box is not there when you play baseball.
No. I mean, ask the chat. We got a bunch of people in here. We got old heads, new heads, young heads, baseball heads. Do you want robo ump? The ABS system, the challenge system, where we have an umpire out there, but the ABS knows if it's a ball or strike.
I agree with Mike.
I might think she's a 9, but you see her as a 4. It's all in the eye of the person calling it. Delco, Mike, we're talking about the strike zone here, Mike.
But he's right. I mean, you
put on the glasses and you see things differently, but it's 18 inches.
You want a uniform strike zone. I understand the point of having a robo.
I need to know inside, outside, high and low is the issue because some guys are Aaron Judge's strike zone. Up and down is not the same as
Jose Altuve.
Altuve.
Yes, they play the same.
Very different.
Right. So umpires are going to have a different strike zone for those players. You're going to see the ball differently.
Up and down, out, in and out. I like in and out. I like in and out burger too. In and out. I need to know the in and I need to know the out.
I'm not against a challenge system. I'm not against it. Okay. But this is what people want all the time. They want the system to run everything. They don't want it to be done by humans. They want it done by a robot. Balls and strikes, every single one is done by a robot. I don't want that. I'm okay with tapping the head. Say, hey, challenge that call.
That's the way. That's the system.
I'm okay with that. Sure.
Okay, that's the system.
I'm okay with that. But that's not what we're leaning towards, Dave. Like if we add that in, the plan is to have a robot umpire because once you start down this road of taking it away from the actual home plate umpire, the guy's going to make mistakes. And what we're going to say is, oh man, that guy makes too many mistakes. You're going to replace him. And now you're going to have the number of mistakes, the number of challenges have to go up. And you start just whittling away what has made baseball great for a long time. Arguing balls and strikes. Look, on a July day and it's hot as hell outside, sometimes the most entertaining thing at the ballpark is watching the umpire get screamed at by the manager and getting tossed.
I mean, those sometimes are enjoyable.
That's part of the fun. So now we're not going to have any of that. We're not going to have any of that. It's just going to be robot. Beep, strike, beep, ball, beep, strike. That's boring.
There's some legitimacy to that argument.
But I asked Joe this question. I'll ask you. Do you think it matters that Scoble is on a mediocre team, that Boston's mediocre if it comes to an absolute garbage team?
I am so blah right now about the voting award things. Like after learning that 11 people decided the NBA Finals MVP yesterday,
Yep.
I am so like jaded, upset, aggravated, going, how we have odds on this shit? Like seriously, how? If we're in the book, I'm going, hold on. I said it the last year I did it was 2020. And that's when I really started speaking my mind. And apparently it was right before I had the stroke. And I should have known because I was getting aggravated about dumb shit. And this is dumb. 11 people decide this. We're taking all these bets. Guys walking in bet 5,000 on this. I don't know what the hell's going on. So now does being on a bad team hurt your Cy Young Award chances? I would think no. But how the hell do I know what the guy voting thinks?
30 guys, according to Joe. So that's a 30-person vote. It's a bit bigger.
I feel better about that.
Yep.
Like, at least there's 30 guys. Are they watching? I hope every one of these guys voting takes it serious and watches these guys pitch and doesn't just look at the numbers blindly and go like this. The NL pitchers are all on good teams. Closers are never going to win this award again, huh? Ever.
Never.
Ever.
Never. No.
That's done.
They really shouldn't anyway. It's not their award.
But, I mean, you could argue that all those guys in the American League, if somebody had 50 saves in the American League, could they be the Cy Young Award winner? No.
Not to be. No.
It's going to be one of these starters on a bad team.
It's like the Heisman. Heisman is a quarterback award for the most part. The Cy Young's a starter award to me. Who's the best starter in Major League Baseball? American League, National League.
Okay.
No, you're right. King Felix won it with the Mariners were awful. I mean, same thing with the MVP. That I don't. My difference with the Cy Young versus MVP. Mike Trout didn't take any meaningful at bats after June 1st that year in 2018 when he won the MVP with the Angels. It was a joke. Mookie Betts played all the way to the World Series, won the World Series. The Cy Young, because of the nature of baseball, my team can suck and I can go out there every fifth day and dominate. And just put up stupid numbers, and it's just me. I don't need my team to be good to dominate the opposition.
Or I can make that team good every fifth day.
Yeah, right. I'm a stopper, right? Like Skeens. Yeah, Skeens could be that case, right? You make that case every fifth day.
Wow, WB punch drunk one. That'd be unbelievable. That would be.
He's rookie of the year, although he's not even winning. He's not even the odds-on favorite to win rookie of the year right now.
No, because he hasn't done it enough. But apparently, I mean, he's
sure
all these games. He's never lost.
Imanaga's got him right now. Imanaga's been stupid. I don't know if he can catch Imanaga.
Yeah.
The numbers of Imanaga have been just ridiculous, and the Cubs are a little bit better than the Pirates at the moment.
A half game.
A little bit better. Just a little. Cubs have lost 19 of 24. They've been horrible.
Not good. Yeah.
Cubs suck right now.
I saw Iggy this morning, and I stopped and said, "How are you?" And he goes, "Cubs still suck." I was like, "All right, see you later." That was a quick flyby. I was laughing. I'm like, man, it's getting aggravated. Cubs fans are getting mad.
They should. They're mad. They start off great. And then the last thing, the Royals are going to go 33-50 the next 83 games. I mean, Joe thinks the wheels are going to come off in a big way to the Royals.
Well, that's how these things happen, right? With young pitchers that, either stop pitching or hit that wall. You know how hard it is to just, when you've never done it before, keep going out there in July and August. I mean, it's beautiful here today. I don't know what happened. We got some cool breezes this morning. I don't even know. Today. I went outside this morning and actually 65. Had to get a sweatshirt on.
65. It was gorgeous today.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait a second. Are we in San Diego again? What happened?
Right.
But, it's hard to go out there and pitch and maintain that when you haven't done it before. You got to build up that stamina. It could fall off bad for the Royals.
Wow. That's a cliff. That's a cliff. All right. Hockey. Game 5 tonight. Oilers trying to stay alive. Mavericks got their teeth kicked in last night. Same thing happens tonight.
I like the Panthers tonight. I don't know if they win big. You don't get that.
Emotional outburst.
Well, no, I don't think that their style of play would dictate. I mean, what's win big by 3 goals? That could happen.
4-1. They won it 4-1 before.
4-1 could be the final. Yes, if that's win big, that could happen. Do you think Edmonton has a shot at winning tonight?
Shot, yes. Will they? No.
Well, I think Edmonton has a very good shot of winning tonight. The way they played, the doubt in Bobrovsky's mind, the guy got pulled.
You
He
saw
has
what
to-
you saw what Boston did. You saw what the Celtics did at home. You saw
Oh.
the better team. What we were betting in game 1, 2, 3, bet it in game 5.
Right.
Panthers puck line under, first period under.
Oh, with the decider, the empty net goal is more in play.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I think if they're down 2-1, 3-1, they're pulling the goalie with 4 minutes to go. And they're gonna send them, ship them. I don't know, although Edmonton, it seems like he waits. There's Florida in regulation, over 5.5. Ask him, give him a poll right now. Who wins tonight? Hockey, Edmonton or Florida? Bonvi, if you're listening, we love you, brother. Good luck with the Oilers. I don't know. We got a lot of Canadian listeners. I also wanted to shout out real quick a guy who's tweeting at us, William Wright. He's in Georgia. He's cutting clips and everything. My goodness. I mean, I feel like he's Mikey Awesome, doing stuff. But he watches the show late at night in Georgia, which we appreciate. So thank you, William, for doing that.
Yeah, I like Panthers.
Early votes are in.
I'm just a little concerned about Panthers regulation, just because I hate to lose the bet when it's only minus 130. It's minus 140 at certain books, but I got 130 last night. I thought about betting in regulation, but I was like, you know what? I was like, it's only 20 cents. I get it. It's, but I'd rather just, in case it's 2-2 and it goes into overtime and they win it in OT, just take the Panthers. And then if you can get on plus money on the other side on the Oilers during the game.
Did Butchie say Florida? Was that
Yes.
Butchie's? You put that up there? Okay.
Yes. Oh, he's got him at 150. Oh, getting expensive there, Butchie.
Just for the record, he had when we started the show last night on Sports Grid, Ranieri was talking about a lot of the books went to 6.5.
Yep.
He stayed at 7 the whole time.
Smart.
He let him come in, said bet the Mavericks, open up an account, whatever you need to do. So him sitting at minus 150 tells me that's I love that. I mean, when you book it with an opinion, you don't need to be right every time, but when you're right and you take all the chips like that, that's pretty good.
Oh, you call it a chip? You call it a chip?
The chips.
Chip? You call it a chip? We going for a chip tonight, right?
No. When you take the chips on a roulette table, you
said
take
it
all
right.
the chips.
You said it right. We're going for a chip tonight. Yeah. You said it right.
Chip. I just watched Hardball over the weekend. We're going to the ship.
Chip. Celtics chip.
Ship. S-H-I-P.
Bleacher Report called it a chip last night. You just call it a chip.
Report is wrong too.
Chip. I got winning a chip. Right, winning a chip.
Salt and vinegar
winning a chip, and we're blowing out your speaker.
Wake up, boys.
The Brigade Proxy NFL story of the day. If you guys want to get involved with us, 702-570-8255. That is the text line. If you're coming into town at some point, June, July, August, we got you covered. In September, all the way up to the 7th of September. That is the cutoff deadline for Circa Million and Circa Survivor. You can also go to our website, thebvbshow.com. Oh, look at that hat. That hat is spoken for correctly, correct?
This is SoCal Degens.
Yeah.
Vegas Golden Knights model.
Okay.
You guys are watching. You can
like it.
Send an email to the show right there and come up with something like this. I got Corbin, the hat doctor. Not only is he watching the show every day, but he's on the button coming up with ideas. And my favorite thing about today is going to be the unveil here of the Rainmaker Lou models. He came up with a couple different ones. Give you guys a sneak preview. I didn't want to. This one here is been done before. This is the Lakers / LSU / whatever else you want. This is a little. I don't know. It's a Celtic green. You have the real green with the stuff, but
yeah,
he was messing around with that one.
That's a tough call. I don't know what I would describe that as.
I don't know either. Oakland A's is the first thought.
Packers
is what I'm getting. For the boys up in Green Bay, came up.
That
with
looks
this,
like Packers to me.
Yeah, I think we need the white hat or the gold hat or something. I can't find the green. I'm trying to find the green. Oregon sucks. Marcella Unda, thank you. Not this year. Oregon's supposed to be pretty good.
See what the quarterback spot looks like, but yeah. Oh, you're not going to show me the good. Oh, you're going to hold that? Okay. There's one I hate the team that it represents, but it looks absolutely tremendous.
Oh yeah. No, that was going to be my favorite thing about today.
You save it. It's fine. Save it.
Yeah, I was going to say it.
Brigade Proxy NFL story of the day. Dallas Cowboys. Remember, in Texas, gambling is illegal. Gambling is illegal in Texas.
What?
Illegal. You can't gamble in Texas, but the Cowboys just signed an official slot machine deal. There's now going to be an official slot machine for the Dallas Cowboys that will be in Oklahoma. It's going to the books or the casinos in Oklahoma. You can't gamble in Dallas. You can't gamble in Texas, but we're going to go and we're going to gamble in Oklahoma.
I'm not going to lie. You sent the email and I'm going over the rundown and I'm like, he had to mess this up. He didn't mean this. It can't be the Cowboys. They don't have gambling there. And then I opened it and I was like, oh, fuck it. Send it to Oklahoma. What? Yeah, sign the deal. They're paying. Sure. Let's go. What is going on? What is going on? I don't
understand this. I mean, like,
I don't either.
The reaction from the NFL folks of like, wait, what? Do we know what's going on here? Like, Jerry, are you like privy to something that we're not aware of? Because Mark Cuban has been trying to get legalization. It's why he sold the Mavericks to the Adelsons, because they want to build a casino in Vegas, build a Vegas style casino in Dallas. So that's why the Adelsons are now the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. And the Dallas Cowboys are owned by Jerry Jones, and he wants legalization to come around. But this is casino gambling. This is not sports gambling. This is casino gambling. And they're putting him in Oklahoma.
I don't get it.
Oh, this is a great question. Can you imagine going back 10 years and looking at the absurdity of the gambling space today?
I'm doing it every day of my life, WE Punch Drunk One. I can't believe it. I was in Curacao in 1997. I remember having the discussions in 1996 about this would even be possible. And the first person I told was my dad. And he's like, wait a second. Are you serious? You're going to get in trouble? Well, I don't know yet. Then I told my mother, and she was like, oh, you're not doing that. You're going to go to jail. Okay, we'll see. I went down there. I spent some time down there, learned a lot, came to Vegas, and lived it here. And they started talking about this when I was downtown at the Nugget in 2008. I will never forget. Chris was there. No, Chris was there in 2006. I think that's when he got let go. And he got out of the business. And everybody was like, this is going to pass and it's going to be legal to bet sports everywhere else. And I'm like, the bookies are never going to let this happen. The mob's not going to let this happen. The legislators are going to let this happen. We wanted to do this 10 years ago. And they were like, no, it's going to happen. I said, I don't think in my lifetime. And then went out to the M and went, maybe this is going to happen. It's going to take a while, though. And then it started with the legs. And like Joe just said, the leagues were all like, oh, gambling's bad. Gambling, we can't have this.
But
no. Integrity of the game. 100 years, Black Sox scandal, Kennesaw Mountain Landis, all this. Can't have Pete Rose, all this stuff. You can't be associated with gamblers. Alex Karras, Paul Hornung, all these guys got banned from the game because they talked about the gamblers. They talked to gamblers. Weren't even whatever. And then now the Cowboys have a slot machine.
Along those same lines, Supreme Court does not take up the Florida case yesterday. This is kind of an inside school type story, but they denied the Florida sports betting case, which is going to keep sports gambling being controlled by the tribe one in Florida until 2051. Like, that's a long time from now.
I did the math. I'm going to be 81.
When someone can gamble, somebody else potentially could have a piece of sports betting in the state of Florida. This is being talked like it's the worst thing to ever happen for gamblers in Florida. Do you agree that this is really bad news for competition? It's going to be bad prices and bad for the average player.
I know who it's good for.
The tribe.
I don't know if it's good for them. I mean, they already got the control of it, but I know who it's good for that ain't involved with all those people.
Who?
Every bookie, every
Oh,
agent, every
yeah.
person that, is working.
Yeah.
We can't even say that, hey, you're doing this, but you shouldn't be doing this because we're doing it for real here. We're doing it for real with one company in one place. Monopolies are not good for business, for people, for other businesses.
You know what's
for
weird?
competition.
Somebody said, I'm run this by you, and maybe this is not really all that smart of me to say, but I'll say it anyway here on our show. Florida is the state closest to what part of the world?
Down south?
Doesn't it benefit those companies down south to make sure that Florida doesn't go legal?
You think? There's a lot of money in Florida.
Tons of money. It's a huge state. It's a gigantic populous state with a lot of people who gamble on college and pro sports.
A lot of people. A lot.
But the easiest proximity, like if you talk about like the cocaine trade, like where does it all come from? Where does it all come in? It all comes in from ports in like Miami and South Florida and the Keys and whatnot. Allegedly, but like it's all come from the Caribbean. This is all coming through the Caribbean. It's the one place that might actually have some like, see, me and Addison think alike, but like, it's true. It's just where it all comes through. So now we're talking about the state that's the closest with the most people that go back and forth from Caribbean countries, tour groups, big, huge cruise ships. They all come through and roll through. So like, it would really benefit those parts of the world to not have Florida be legalized for sports gambling.
Oh, sure would. They can't come to any agreement. And I honestly don't think that they're actually having the right conversations, because they could if they wanted to. But the tribes don't want to give up the control.
Right.
Understandable. The book companies aren't really have their best interests in mind. Nobody's talking the same language. Like, we can all do this together if you just listen. Nobody's listening. Everybody's talking. And now they got this. And the Supreme Court said, you know what? 2051. That's it. We're not touching it. We're not talking about this. But now they're talking about this being a way, to get the iGaming. And right before we started today, Bitterbender, the guy that's a Reds fan that we're going to have on the show, one of the guys I look for sources of information, just said that Caesars is taking over WinBet in Michigan. So they're taking over their iGaming stuff.
Oh, not sports betting.
I don't even know if they're going to keep it open. Like, because their Caesars already in Michigan. So like, I don't know, but now they're getting the WinBet stuff for iGaming.
Right. Their license.
Their right to, I forget what it's called, a writ of something.
Okay.
But I'm not the lawyer, but
yep.
And I texted the boys. They didn't even know.
Oh,
they didn't even know.
Really?
And I was like, oh boy, like this, there's a lot of things, moving parts, where sports betting, I think, is going to get kind of passed over. Like, it's big in our world. It's big in our vacuum. And it is an echo chamber for sure. I don't know how big it is outside. And like the Supreme Court just said, there's people saying this is going to open up California. Open it up for what?
Well, the tribe can have more control. Like, the tribes are always nervous about giving control if sports betting happens off in the state. Like, all of the computers have to be on tribal land. The tribe wants control over it because they believe that they were given control over all gaming in states like Florida and California. People are trying to carve out sports betting and taking it out, and the tribes are saying, no way, that's part of sports. It's part of gambling in general, and we control gambling here in the state. So it's ours. So even though you guys think this is big money, I mean, they get a cut of every bet made across the entire state. Every single over-the-counter, online, doesn't matter. They get a cut of all of it. Like, it's incredible. So like, if you want to go in there, if you're DraftKings, if you're FanDuel, whatever, you want to go into Florida and you want to cut a deal with the tribe, that's great. They're taking a cut out of every single bet placed with your app.
Oh, you just better be careful, because there's alternatives. And now, I don't know. I'm thinking of guys that would be doing a heavy pre-football season marketing campaign via mailers, emails. I'd be deluging the state of Florida. Hey, need a place to play? I don't know. Crazy, man. It's crazy. The whole thing is all crazy.
Not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's going to be something to watch for sure. But if you're in Florida, Hard Rock is it, and that's it. You get one book. You get one place to bet sports.
Speaking
legally.
of which, that's not our near future possible target for roadshow, but I've begun the discussions about taking the show on the road to do down there and have a little meetup. You think anybody in Florida? You think anybody would show up? I think we get a couple people to show up. We might do.
I know people in Florida now. I knew a bunch. Now I know even more.
Oh, we're going to the surf shop. I can tell you that. I'm getting them shirts. I'm getting the stuff. I'm getting hats. I'm going to the surf shop.
Amanda will appreciate this. This is where she is right now.
Uh-huh. All right.
Nomad Church in Boynton Beach.
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right, let's go. I'm down.
Right.
Let's go down. I'm in. It'll be a lot of fun to go down there, do a show in Florida. We can go. She was looking at prices to go to Game 5 tonight. I was on the phone with her and she was looking at prices to go tonight. Get in prices $800. Get in price at last for Celtics for the Boston game was $2,000.
Yeah, that's what I saw
last night
for the hockey.
$2,000?
It was 2,000.
Oh, she was actually on it. I was on the phone with her. She was actually looking at the prices. It was $800 a ticket.
The irony that your, new lady friend,
significant other,
cup clinching game before me would aggravate the hell out of me. I like her and I met her, but like if she FaceTime me or something from the game, whatever, Warden's skating around with the cup, and that's the only thing I want to see in sports. I've been twice to games where it didn't happen, and
I'll be right.
I just be like, wait, Amanda, you're in Florida at the game? If I didn't risk some, problems
at home, you'd
I
go.
would have been there this week, but she said you can't go. So.
I told her if you want to go, just wait till right before the game. Like, don't buy it now. Just wait for like a half hour before the game and then buy it, because the tickets will be the prices will crash, right before. So, we'll see how it all goes out. Two baseball games to talk about. Orioles, Yankees. Good pitching matchup today.
Yeah, Orioles.
Cortez for the Yankees.
It's too high. This game should be 120.
Suarez. It's 140.
It's already coming down. The overnight was minus 150. It's minus 130.
Yeah.
Maybe it's square. I don't know. Give me the Orioles. It's a no-brainer.
Them as a dog this year has been tremendous. Orioles have been
That's what I mean. The best team in baseball, right?
Best dog team in baseball is Baltimore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Best dog team in Baltimore.
Love it.
Red Sox have we were talking about AL Cy Young.
This is the game.
Hawks on the mound. We talked about AL Cy Young. Hawks on the mound. Favored on the road. And Red Sox are favored on the road. They won yesterday. Blue Jays are a mess.
I told Cam this last night. It was minus 110 both sides. I said, Cam, he came on to end the show last night. He's a Blue Jay guy. I said, you should bet the Red Sox right now because they're going to be favored in the morning.
Wow. So
I agree with the move. It's Red Sox in that spot. You like a side?
It was 8. It's 7.5 now. At 8, I like the under. That number's wrong. It was 8. I think it was. I wrote the wrong number.
Yeah, you had 8. It was 8. It's now 7.
It's 7.5. It's not. Yeah. It was total. Was that the 9 was the Orioles game.
Right.
8 was Red Sox game. I liked under 8, but not 7.5. I'm a little concerned about that. So,
our play yesterday, the Cardinal play.
Yep.
It took extra innings multiple times and a huge sweat, but the Cardinals got there. So Thanks, Dad, for coming and saying hello on my balcony and putting out the Cardinal play.
There we go.
I'm waiting for a bird to show up today.
See who you can do.
No bird today.
Blue Jay shows up today, or an Oriole shows up today.
I'm going to go for a walk after the show. Maybe I'll run into a bird there, but no birds out on the balcony.
Better to book it. All right, better to book it. Panthers money line. I got 130 last night. Florida wraps the cup up tonight.
Bet it.
I'm not going to touch the full game total. I lean towards the over because of the open net situation potential. But if I was going to bet a team total, I would bet under team total for the Oilers tonight, under 2.5. But instead, I'm just going to bet the first period under.
Ooh.
At -120.
Oh, this could be 2-0. This is going to be a sweat. I agree with the play. I say bet it, but this is not. You're going to white knuckle this. They may score 3 minutes in, and you're going to have to sweat 17 minutes.
I think both goalies, because the cup's in the. I like betting this because when the cup is in the building, teams play differently, both for the Oilers and for the Panthers. Panthers are pissed off. They got smoked, but the Oilers are playing for their life. So Skinner, I think, will be good early. Bobrovsky got lit up like a Christmas tree last game. He's not going to be bad again in my mind, at least not in the first period. And hopefully we go first period under, second period over. That's how I'm going to play this.
Oh, okay.
Go 1-0 after 1.
That pattern worked pretty much all regular season for a lot of games. So it's not a bad strategy to take.
Rain likes it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's the way you lost that game. If you're the Panthers, like you come out, like you said, with emotion and things. I think sometimes it leads to mistakes, overplaying things. This could be 2-0, could be 1-1. You're going to sweat this. I think there's a goal I think there's a gift tonight.
I'm okay at going first 10. I don't mind that. I just don't want what happened in game 4. It was 4-1 after 1.
That was crazy. That was fun. I mean, goals are good. Not tonight, though. You need under.
And then I'm going with Reds money line here today. Sorry, against your Pirates. As Lodolo has won his last 4 starts. Falter has lost his last 3 starts in 4 of 5. Lodolo now, it's -130 is the consensus number here. You can get it as low as -122 or as high as -130 at the moment for this.
Yeah.
Betting it or booking it. Your bullpen comes into play.
That's fine. I totally get it. This might be the Pitt Panther model. I think Rain came up with
the
Pitt
blue
Panther,
hat, though. That blue, I see Lions. Oh, sorry, I mean Rams rather.
Rams. Oh, this could work for the Rams too.
I see a Ram. Yeah. That's a Ram hat to me. Just because the blue bill.
Yep.
That looks like the Rams to me.
Yeah, it works pretty good. Stay tuned for the blue lid is awesome. Rain's got style. You guys saw him at the live show.
Oh,
Chicago.
That's it. Yep. I knew I was
St. Louis Blues.
Yes. I knew I was thinking something.
Good call, AOW.
I was like, what's that blue? Rams, Chargers, maybe. I see Rams, but definitely the Blues. Right. I don't see the Warriors there because it's not the right. Warriors is more gold. I need more gold. If the brim was gold, maybe I might see the Warriors, but I definitely see the Blues 100%. Huh. Not the St. Louis Blues. Delaware Blue Hens. My buddy.
Delaware Blue Hens.
My buddy was the 10-year voice of Delaware football and basketball. Mike Corey was. Has Mike been on? Mike's been on this show, haven't he? Has he? Yeah, when he was calling the NIP.
Yeah.
No,
so this is
that model is sick. I hate the Dolphins, and that might be my favorite BBB hat you've ever made.
That is
just
ridiculous.
Ridiculously good.
Ridiculous. And this is a trucker hat. I can't believe it. This has the mesh back. I didn't know if it would take. Corbin got it to take. It works perfectly. So I say you're going to win this damn Reds bet. The Pirates won yesterday. They'll lose today. Although Falter's been good, I like.
He's been okay. Your team has not been good when he started, though. He's lost 4 or 5.
I know.
So
I know.
Things have not been good.
Boston, that's fine.
Go Reds. We'll see. Lodolo needs a win because the Reds have been faltering. They need Lodolo to come up big here today. So I'll go ahead and bet that. If you guys are watching on Sports Grid, listening on SiriusXM, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. If you guys are with us live on YouTube and or on Twitter, do not move. You guys are getting bonus time. Favorite thing about today is what?
The hats. I'm putting them out. Rain came up with these ideas. Chef Benny came up with ideas. and you guys are coming up with different things. The trucker mesh, the hats look tremendous. You're damn right, Rain.
That might be one of top 5 favorite. That thing's awesome.
So
That pops.
now that I know that these can be done, these are the summer collection. We'll get these done. I mean, for you guys in the hot weather places that
Snapback.
need the trucker hats, snapbacks. I have flex fits options as well with the
you
white.
Punch
Use
it.
your imagination. Flex fit white
is gorgeous, and they fit really nice.
LXL
Yeah,
is what I have him. We're in bonus time now.
Yep.
I got them stashed, boys. So yes, these will look good for the lake. These will look good for the beach. These will look good for anything. Come up with something. Trucker hat, whatever you need, Nikki. Shoot a text with the exact color specifications. With the trucker hat with the adjustable, this is easy because this fits everybody. Powder blue trucker hat. Oh, the problem sometimes with the colors is they don't have all the selections all the time.
But if you do white though, you just do white with the colors and you match it. So you can do a Royals hat.
Yep.
With a white hat and then the royal blue, and then figure out what the V will be.
Right. And the other option is if you guys see a hat that's blank that you like, buy it, email, and I'll tell you where to send it, and I can get it done. And then,
turn around, send it back.
We can get it sent back. That's just as easy too. That's what Chef B did, and that's what Rain did. So they got these hats and said, "Can you get this on here?" The challenge was making sure that it came out right. I think this came out just fine.
Looks phenomenal.
And I can tell you this in person, it looks damn good. I wore this one out, and someone stopped me in the parking lot and said, "What's BVB?" I said, "It's a great show. You should listen to it. You should watch it. It's on at Boston versus the book." I got the kid in the other store on it. Damn, I forget his name. But yeah, the hats. It's that time of year, P-Roll.
Mm-hmm.
Got to keep finding ways to engage the audience.
It's good stuff.
Stay with us, boys. Keep it up.
My favorite thing about today, Jason Tatum went to the microphone last night at a club in Boston. The team went out. He grabbed the mic and he said, "Some said a split. We said a family. What they gonna say now?" And that picture is unfucking believable. That and Jason Tatum's kid Deuce. I mean, you want to talk about a dad-son moment right there that will live forever. It's that. The joy in Dad's face, the joy in Deuce's face that his dad just won the NBA championship. And the photographer from Getty that took this picture is, I mean, that's my favorite thing about today. To see Jason Tatum celebrating with Deuce like that. Deuce said to him, "Daddy, you're the best in the world." And his answer was, "You're right. You're damn right. I am." And that's just, I mean, it's just that's what I mean by like this cathartic moment, this like way of getting off of this whatever that was on Tatum's back coming out of Duke and all the things, being a top 3 pick and, people questioning all the time. I mean, I went back and forth with our friend Raheem Palmer for I don't know how long about Tatum. His frustrations with Tatum are his views are shared by a lot of people, that he has a ceiling that just is unbelievable, that he hasn't hit it. And people are frustrated by him for not hitting it. And him getting that ring, I can't wait to see what that does. I cannot wait to see what that does for that guy, because I think it takes off a lot of pressure. What are you going to say now? You can't ever take that away. You can't ever take it away. He's won a championship. You can't take it away.
It's the best thing in the world when you do that. And when you do it with a team, can't ever take it away.
You do it with your family. Like
right.
That.
And then you can celebrate it with your family and stuff. I told the kids that when they won the state championship, just, for 14U softball.
Right.
Like you guys will always be able to say you won a state championship, whatever that means. I don't care how many teams were in it. I don't care how many games were played, all this other stuff. You won.
Yep.
When you win the last game you play, professional sports, that's the best. It's the best.
I just think it's so cool that they did it together. I'm so happy they didn't break them up. I'm so happy they did it together. I'm so happy they get to tell everyone to fuck off, that we did it together. And
they're your fucking team. I mean, listen, there's a little bit of jealousy. It's fucking. I mean, like when the Penguins won, I walked like my chest out all summer.
It's funny though, because again, this is gonna sound completely snobbish and stuck up, but like there was a sense of relief that they won it.
Yeah.
There wasn't as much celebration as I normally would have had it because they were the best team all year.
Yep.
They had all the expectations. They were the odds-on favorite to win it. I knew they were the odds-on favorite to win it.
Yep.
And everybody wanted them to fail. So that
more so than anybody, like Keith said on the show, like the Boston people. That's what's so fucked up.
Yep. Agreed. The media, though. It's the media that drives that. It's not people around me don't.
People buy into it.
Correct. Because the Puritan nature of the misery that is New England. It is a miserable group of people that like to wallow in misery. There's only 2 set states in New England. We're going to fucking take your throat out and kill you, and we're the best team ever, or we're awful, and we hate the world, and we can't do shit.
It's so fucked.
There's no in between. We're either 14-2, we're either 15-2 or 2-15. There can be no in between. There's no process. There's no patience. There's no we're growing. It's either you're a fucking bum or you're the GOAT.
So bad.
Like there's no in between. Like Jason Tatum today is the greatest human being ever invented. He's the best player Boston's had in the last 30 years. But 2 days ago, he was a schmuck who couldn't lead his team to anything because he was too worried about his kid or whatever the fuck they wanted to say. Like he hates Jaylen Brown. Don't you know that? Jason Tatum hates Jaylen, and Jaylen hates him. Don't you know that? They hate each other. Now it's, oh my God, these two, they're brothers. Look at them. Look how smiley they are for each other. Look at the genuine love these two dudes have for each other. It's just garbage. It's absolute garbage. And it's been my sports talk radio is to blame. You want to talk about what the blame is? Boston is the #1 sports talk market in America. The 2 sports talk stations account for more audience listens per capita than any other market in America. So the way you get competitive is, let's just say as much crazy shit as we can say. And let's make it sound rational. And like I'm in the know and I know what I'm talking about. It's what it is. It's 100% to blame. And that's where, like with Fitzy, I just go, thank God you exist.
Right.
Because you like sports, like you like teams, you're a happy person. You're a genuine guy. You're not a fucking asshole.
Bad when there's bad, but you have to also, I think, enjoy it. Like it's more fun covering playoff teams. It's more fun going to playoff games. It's great to go to parades.
Correct. And TP, you're absolutely right. I was miserable. I told the story already on the air. I got to my dream job. I stood there in front of the microphone that said WEEI. I spent 12 years dreaming of getting that moment, of being in that seat, of getting that chance to have control over the #1 brand until 98.5 knocked him off. But growing up for me, it was the #1 brand in sports in New England was to work for WEEI. And I got there and I realized, oh shit, I don't work here. I don't work here. My shit, like I'm negative, but I'm not this negative. I can be critical, but I'm not critical just to fucking be critical. I want to point out the nasty, but I also want to celebrate the positive. Like I want to talk about the good. Like this is amazing. They won. Isn't that the idea, to win? Yeah, but they're not winning the right way, Matt. What do you mean? Did they win? Yes or no? That's what I love about sports betting. Did the ticket cash? Yes or no? It doesn't fucking matter how. It doesn't matter whether it cashed by a half a point or by 100 points. It cashed. That's all that matters.
Me in that same exact situation about 8 years before you.
Mm-hmm.
I graduate school. I'm involved with KDK. I'm covering games. And I'm talking about sports betting all the time. And they're like, Dave, shut up. What are you talking about? You can't say that. And I'm like, why not? That's what people are saying. That's what bookies are saying. Like people bet, and they're like, no, you can't talk about that. And then it was the same thing. I enjoyed going to the games, and whether they won or lost, I liked it more when they won. And I wanted to talk about that. And they were like, yeah, you can't really root ever. You can't ever. What are you talking about?
Because Emerson
hold on.
Emerson last night was out with a bunch of Celtic fans, right? So there's a term that Fred Toucher and now Rich actually Emerson's been doing stuff on Rich's new morning show on WZLX in Boston, which is really happy for Emerson with Rich Shortley. They called the diehard Celtic fan the green teamer. It became an insult. Oh, you're a green teamer. You're a green teamer. So Emerson used that term last night. I'm out with a bunch of green teamers, and I was like, "The fuck you are!" I was like, "Cut it out, Emerson." I was like, "You're not doing this." I was like, "You're not doing this.
What are you doing?
You're not going to feed into the negativity bullshit from to insult the fans that
You
literally
get insulted for liking the team more.
right." And
What is that?
because you can't be because of being a fan. Because this is how I square the circle. Everybody in New England, from my girlfriend to my mother to my sister to all of my friends, my brothers, everybody's a sports fan. Everyone. Like there's nobody, you are hard pressed to find somebody in New England who is not a sports fan of one of the four major teams. There's different levels to it, but there is always some level of sports fans that are either like the Bruins, Celtics, Red Sox, Patriots, whatever it might be. And so because of that, you have to tell, well, I'm not that type of fan. You're that type of fan. I am above you. The bougie, there has to be this like pecking order of who gets to be seen as a real fan or a smart fan. It's very similar to like the betting world, right? It's like you have the sharps and you have the squares, right? Well, I'm not a square. I win. I'm a sharp. Okay. Like, sure. So like that type of pecking order, the Boston media likes to say, well, who are our audience is, our audience they're not green teamers. Our audience is very smart. They see things for how it really is. The same way they took the Brady celebration, the Hall of Fame induction, and called it Fantasyland and fairy tales, which is like, I don't know. Let's relive 6 championships. That sucks. Let's not do that. So that's that. Guys, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Fun show today. Thank you to Keith Smith. Thank you to Joe Sheehan.
Start ideally at 10 o'clock if we can. I forgot to text you that. Got a doctor's appointment. So if we can start a little earlier, if we can be here, that'd be great.
1 p.m. Eastern?
1 p.m. Eastern, 10 o'clock.
Works for me.
Start.
Works for me.
That's
Early start time. Let everyone know on the Discord channel if you could.
Please.
1 p.m. Eastern. Dave, Matt, back tomorrow for BVB.